Welcome to King Song. Today I am introducing the topic the sorting material into groups from the class 6. Before that, those who do not subscribe our channel, please subscribe it and press the bell button. Let us move on to the chapter, the sorting material into groups. And just to think about what you mean by the term material. Just to look at our nature as well as the man-made things, we can see a large variety of things with a different shape, size, texture and color. And all the things are made up of one or two type of materials. For example, a measuring scale. Usually we all are using the scale for taking the measurement. And it is made up of maybe plastic or wood or steel. And second example, knife. Maybe it is made from steel, otherwise wood. So, these are the things: steel, plastic, wood, glass, etc. as named as a material. And second thing, a material can be used to make different type of things. For example, wood. It can be used to make chair, bench, desk, etc. And secondly, glass. It can be used to make bowls, mirror, window pane, etc. And the third thing, the material can be classified into two. That is, first one, naturally occurring material. Naturally occurring material. And the second one, man-made material. Okay, let us see some example. The naturally occurring materials are wood, jute, marble. And the man-made materials are glass, plastic, nylon, etc. So here the materials are classified into two. That is, first one naturally occurring material and second one man-made material. And the wood, jute, marble are the example of naturally occurring material. Glass, plastic, nylon are the example of man-made materials. Our next topic is the characteristic of material. Okay, so the three characteristics of material. Let us see one by one. The first one, all material can be felt by our senses. That is, we can observe the things by touching, smelling or seeing. For example, air. We cannot see, but we can feel it by our sense organ. That is our skin. And secondly, we can smell a perfume even from the distance. And next thing, cotton. It is very soft to touch, but stone it is very hard. So we can say all the material we can felt it by our sense organ. Our second characteristic, all material occupies space. That is means, I want to keep this book on the table, and this book occupies the space on the table. And the second thing, I want to keep this pen on this book, and this pen occupies the space on the book. So we can say all the material that occupy space. And third characteristic, all material possesses mass. And we already learned all things it is made up of one or two materials. And this material have its own mass. For example, its pen. This pen have its own mass. Okay, even a small piece of chalk also have its own mass. So we can say all the material possesses mass. So these are the three characteristics of material. The first one, all material can be felt by our sense organ. And the second thing, all material occupies space. And the third characteristic, all material possesses mass. Our next topic is properties of material. The material can be classified on the basis of their properties. Okay, let us see the properties of material one by one. The first property, physical state. We can classify the materials as solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. Okay, we can classify this material into solid, liquid and gas. So you can able to tell the examples of solid things, that is metal, steel, wood, plastic. These are the example of solid things. And the liquid things, the example, water, milk, oil, petrols. And gas, all the gases, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, argon. These are the example of solid, liquid, gas. And the second property, appearance. The appearance of any material can be described in the terms of color, luster, texture and hardness. Okay, let us see the first one, color. The natural material have their own characteristic color and the man-made material can be given any color. For example, gold. Gold is a golden yellow color and the copper, it has a brown color and silver, it has a white color. So we can say any material we can easily identify by their own characteristic color. And the second term, luster. What do you mean by this term, luster? Because the luster means shine on the surface of the material. It is named as a luster. For example, all the metals are shiny and this characteristic property is named as a metallic luster. So we can say all the material we can easily identify by the term luster. Next, the third term, texture. Again, texture means certain materials are very smooth to touch, whereas other materials are very rough to touch. For example, silk is very smooth to touch, while wood is very rough to touch. So, using this term also we can able to easily identify the materials. Okay, fourth one, hardness. Okay, hardness is the another property of material. Some material are very hard and some other material are very soft. For example, diamond, it is a very hard material. Okay, and cotton or otherwise sponge, it is very soft material. Okay, so these are the four terms is coming under the property of appearance. That is first one, color, luster, texture and last one, hardness. And this all the terms is help to easily identify the materials. Our third property, solubility in water. Many materials are soluble in water and whereas some other do not. Which are the materials are soluble in water? It is named as a soluble material. For example, sugar, salt, etc. And which are the materials are insoluble in water? It is named as an insoluble materials. For example, oil and stone. And where some gases also soluble in water. For example, carbon dioxide and oxygen. And oxygen is mixed with the water. It is very helpful to aquatic animals and plants for living in water. And carbon dioxide is mixed in water, we will get the soft drinks. Okay, then the fourth property, behavior towards light. It is named as a transparency. Now I am going to explain this property through a small example. Suppose if you are sitting inside your room, you can see outside things through a glass window, but not through a wall or wooden portion. Why so? It is because a glass is a substance which allows the light pass through it, but a wood is not allow the light pass through it. So, which are the substance which allow light pass through it? It is named as a transparent material. For example, glass, water, air. And which are the material do not allow the light pass through it? It is named as an opaque material. For example, wood and stone. And which are the material which only a small part of light is passing through it? It is named as transparent material. For example, oil and paper and waxed paper. Maybe the last one, fifth property, the material may be float or sink in water. And which are the materials are lighter than water? Which are the materials that lighter than water? That materials float on Okay, which are the materials are lighter than water? That materials float on the water. For example, thermocol, plastic toys, sponge. These are the example of lighter things. And which are the materials that heavier than water? Which are the materials that heavier than water? That materials sink into the water. That material sink into the water. For example, all metals, iron, coins. Okay, so these are the fifth property. Material may be float or sink into the water. Which are the materials that lighter than water? That material float on it. And which are the materials that heavier than water? That material that sink onto the water. Let us revise the properties of material once again. The first property, physical state. The material can classify solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. And the second property, solubility. Which are the materials soluble in water? Is it named as insoluble substance? And which are the substances insoluble in water? It is named as an insoluble substance. And the third one, appearance. The appearance of any material can be described in the terms of color, texture, luster and hardness. And fourth one, transparent. Which are the materials are allowed to light pass through it? It is named as a transparent material. Which are the materials that do not allow the light pass through it? It is named as an opaque materials. And which are the materials only a part of light is passed through it? It is named as a translucent material. And the last one, density. Which are the substances are lighter than water? It is float onto the water. And which are the materials that denser than water? That is sink into the water.
See you with the next video and thank you for the watching.